Welcome to the Get Over Yourself podcast. This is author and athlete Brad Kearns discovering ways to be healthy, fit, and happy in hectic, high-stress modern life. So let's slow down and take a deep breath, take a cold plunge, and expertly balance that competitive intensity with an appreciation of the journey. That's the theme of the show. Here we go. Let us give thanks to the show sponsors. These are great products and services. Check them out. It's so difficult to make the cut. AlmostHeaven.com for beautiful compact home use sauna kits. AncestralSupplements.com for grass-fed organ meats in a capsule. Easy. DNAFit.com. Genetic testing delivering comprehensive diet and exercise recommendations. WildIdea.com. Grass-fed, sustainable buffalo, beyond organic, and the Primal Blueprint online multimedia mastery courses. I'm your host. Learn more at the links on my homepage, bradkearns.com. I also have a new button called Shopping with Brad for other cool stuff at bradkearns.com. And here we go with the show.
I don't know why it's mainly the women who have a certain way of loading the dishwasher that's consistent with every load of dishes.
Yeah, they have vastly superior spatial talents to the male.
I think what matters is that the couple is on the same page. So not so much that, whether you have to have sex as a, 80-year-old or whether it's bad not to. I think you just have to be on the same page. So I think the reason it's difficult is because that relationship that can't get to the next level is probably missing love and respect. Because when you have love and respect, that's how you get to the level 2, level 3.
Okay, if you're ready to change your life, please check out the Primal Blueprint Mastery courses, of which I am the host. The exercise was to bring our books to life with a comprehensive online multimedia educational experience. We have the Primal Blueprint 21-day transformation, so you can go primal, ditch grains and sugars, learn what primal living is all about. We have the Keto Reset Mastery course. If you've built up some good momentum and now you're ready to try this keto thing and do it right once and for all and be guided step by step throughout the content in the entire book, The Keto Reset Diet, through video. If you're too lazy to read, just watch me talk you through the whole thing. We also have the Primal Endurance Mastery course, which is the world's most comprehensive library of interviews with experts, great athletes, and covering the entire content of the Primal Endurance book. An absolute must-have for an endurance athlete who's trying to do it right instead of get broken down and burnt out, and many other ones. We have a stand-up desk experience called Don't Just Sit There with Katie Bowman. We have a paleo cooking boot camp where you can cook for a couple hours on the weekend and have meals for your family all throughout the week. Great courses. Click the links at bradkearns.com and learn more.
Testing 1, 2, 3, testing.
That would be Mia Moore. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Bradley.
It's been a long time. Have you been listening? What do you think?
Of course, I've been listening.
You're busy, but you're squeezing it in, just like everybody on podcasts, huh?
Well, I love the relationship shows that you've had, with Dr. Wendy Walsh and John Gray.
It's becoming a favorite topic of mine. I think you're a big part of that because we're enjoying this relationship. And since the last recording, let's see, we got engaged.
We did. That was a surprise.
It was.
Unexpected. I mean, I shouldn't say unexpected because we've talked about it, but not at that moment. That's what the surprise, but it was very cute.
Is that because it was a baggage claim or?
No, because of the timing. But no, that's what I was saying. It was very cute because it was pretty much the scene of where we met, kinda. I don't know if the listeners know that we met on a plane, Southwest Airlines, flying from SMF to BUR.
Thank you, Southwest.
And you proposed at Burbank baggage claim. It's interesting when you picked me up. So, yeah.
Okay, let me ask you. You can, speaking for all people who have been proposed to, it doesn't have to be male or female. Usually it is for some reason. I was waiting for you to propose to me. Just kidding. Was a surprise? Did that enhance it? Is that important? Or would you think, oh, we're going out to Valentine's Day on this really fancy restaurant that's my favorite. I think I'm going to get proposed to. And is that just as special? I don't know.
No, I mean, maybe young women in their 20s think like that, like when they feel the moment should be coming and they plan it. But a woman my age probably doesn't think that way. Well, I'd say I don't, but I don't know.
Yeah, we were laughing afterwards because we didn't have like the, perfected staged event. Like right. I did put a hidden camera out there and my friends could not even watch through the video because they were laughing so hard that the pole, the structure of the building was in the way of your face. So we couldn't see your reaction. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then you said later, oh, I should have said 1,000 times yes, like in the movies, but...
Oh, that I should have scripted my response, right? No, but it has to be natural.
Love it. Okay. So we have all these notes and great things to talk about, but we also decided that we didn't want to be too, scripted here and make it sound stiff. We just wanted to get rolling. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing I wanted to mention was the listener feedback about the first Mi Amor show. Oh. And I read you those emails, the little bits in here and there, like, hey, love that show. That was cool. So that's, we get that good supportive feedback. But one listener took the time to write in and say that he was talking, it was a male listener, said he was talking to a female friend who was really stressed and they were having a pretty serious relationship impasse about a major thing. And he says, well, I listened on a podcast where this advice from Mi Amor was maybe some of those matters can be settled in the bedroom.
Yes. What happened?
And so then he reported back that she came back to the listener and said, went very well. The thing has been resolved thanks to your suggestion through the show. So positive feedback from listeners.
Right. I mean, I think it's important because it helps, sometimes when couples are in disagreement, they forget about or they get away from why they're together. When you take it to the bedroom, you forget everything else is kind of, immaterial.
Well, after my John Gray show with Beyond Mars and Venus Insights, where he was talking about the hormonal underpinnings of relationship success and conflict, I'm now appreciating that kind of commentary further because this genetic drive, these need to balance our hormones. And Wendy Walsh talked about the driving factors, the top 3 relationship attributes a woman's looking for in a man. Even though she says otherwise, she can't help it because her biological drive and all those kind of things. So maybe we should pay more respect and attention to that.
I think what matters is that the couple is on the same page. So not so much that, whether you have to have sex as a, 80-year-old or whether it's bad not to. I think you just have to be on the same page. I've seen many happy couples that are, older in their 80s, 90s, holding hands, loving each other and stuff. But, these are people I know. But they may not be intimate anymore, but they don't need that. I mean, they still have that intimacy of years and years of experiences and memories with each other, right? What they've been through. And then you've got other couples where sex is important, but what's difficult is when you're on different sides of the fence. You've got one of the partners wants to have sex more frequently than the other, then that's where it's a tough time.
That part seems like we're talking about symptoms and not addressing the cause.
Right.
Like, who doesn't want to be the best they can be and have the maximum potential of a relationship? But then I see in people that are, let's say, healthy specimens that are capable of, intimacy, but they've formed up walls and blocks, and the stresses of the day prevent them from being the best couple that they can be. Mm-hmm. And then it comes out that, one person wants sex more than the other, but I'm like, wait a second.
Right. it's usually there's something not right in the relationship in those situations. There's always, just like you said, there's always a cause, or there's something going on.
Like some thick-headed dude that's only in one, at level 3 of existence, thinking that his female partner is just there for, for his selfish needs or something, and not paying attention to, again, the John Gray insight,
which I loved, because I so agree with what he was saying. Remember, we've had our discussions when the female just wants to be heard, right? Or, just listen. You don't have to tell me what to do. You don't have to be my knight in, shining armor coming to my rescue. Just hear what I have to say. Let me vent. And then, I'll figure it out. Right? But sometimes you just need to vent and then just hear yourself speak. I can sometimes solve my own, issues, right?
Well, apparently solving the issue at hand is to rebalance your hormones after a tough male hormone dominant, testosterone dominant workday where it's competitive and you're solving problems and seeking objectives and all that. And then the female side wants to connect and talk. And so if you didn't listen to the show, go back and listen to the show. But the male's job at that point is to sit there and listen intently and validate, instead of, contrary to the male's primary drive is to be the knight in shining armor to solve all the problems and go, what you should say to your boss is blah, blah, blah. That's going to dig a deeper hole and cause a disconnect with the couple. Pretty simple stuff, but we have trouble executing, I guess, in life.
And I guess that's where it comes in. People talk about, relationships are hard. And I'd always would scratch my head. It's like, well, why? Because I didn't feel relationships should be hard. Like if you're on the right page, if you have the same goal in mind. And I mean, I just don't see that. But I think what people mean by that is you're always having to be attentive to your partner, right? And your partner may need something from you that you just have to be, in tune to your partner. I guess in that respect, it's just not like every day you wake up and the sun is shining and you're, holding hands and skipping along. I mean, that would be nice, but it really isn't. But I still don't think it should be hard. I think it should be hard, but not conflict. I don't think there needs to be conflict in a relationship, because you need to be able to resolve things if you're both in that same level of, I'll call it emotional maturity. I don't know, or relationship maturity, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if there's a word. If you're at that same level, there shouldn't be conflict.
It shouldn't be hard.
No, it could be hard. To me, there's a difference between hard and conflict.
Well, there's hard work.
Battling it out.
For sure, yeah.
Like, hard is just issues that come up in the day that you need to, overcome. They may not be relationship issues, right?
Right.
The man and the woman, they may just be relationships of the family or of, life in general. But as far as conflict, I feel like a relationship, if you're an emotionally, mature, or how do you want to call that, couple, that shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, you're squinting when you say that, but that's beautiful, because, and Chris Gage on the Medium writes this all the time, that emotional self-sufficiency of the individual is the number one attribute for a successful relationship, and there is no number two until each part of the couple has emotional self-sufficiency and emotional stability. Without that, the relationship is bound to crumble, because the individual's not stable and they're going to blow and compromise the relationship values.
That's correct.
So read that definition.
Well, for me, emotional maturity is the ability to handle a situation without escalating it without being angry, without blaming the other person, right? For our own behavior, because people do that all the time. They'll blame someone else for our behavior or our reaction, right? To me, that's emotional maturity. You try to fix the problem, right?
Mm-hmm. Emotional maturity. Again, John Gray summarizing his book and what he talked about on the show is, males, your assignment is to never speak if you have an emotional charge. Do not speak. Shut the F up, go away, go into your cave, as he calls it, and only speak to the female when you're in a positive state where you can express your appreciation, because females want to be appreciated. The female encounter, because I don't want to just bang on the males first. But
I was just going to say that. What about the female who's always nagging on the
right? So the female,
man, right?
The female assignment,
and angry and raises her voice because he didn't do this, that, or the other.
Never use a complaining tone of voice. The man wants to be the knight in the shining armor. He wants to know that you count on him and all those things. So even minor things, again, this is John Gray insight, even minor things will bug the shit out of him because he wants to be seen as, the someone you can trust and count on. So those are two signs of emotional maturity, emotional self-sufficiency, that I have the presence of mind to walk away when I sense a negative emotional charge. And then on the female side, you're allowed to state your preferences. We're not talking about, hey, be a doormat. Tell your man he's a hero when he's watching Monday Night Football and the pizza boxes have spilled out onto the new carpet.
It's not just Monday Night Football. It could also be Sunday afternoon golf.
Causing us to run late for our dinner appointment because Justin Thomas had a key putt and he missed it, and that was it, man. That was a tournament.
Interesting. But going back to what you were saying, I'm not sure if I was at the airport or somewhere, I read this saying. It was on a card that said, every time we allow someone to move us with anger, we teach them to be angry. Isn't that interesting?
To move us.
Right. So when you react, someone's angry at you and you react back, however you respond or whatever, you're teaching them to be angry. But instead, if you just retreat and just walk away, isn't that what John Gray was saying? Then they won't do that.
Yeah, he said, listen up to the point that you feel yourself getting defensive. And this probably goes in both directions, but he was speaking to the male, like the male needs to listen and hear the female out. The female is supposed to express her preferences in short sentences in a positive tone. So I was talking about the Monday Night Football and the pizza boxes, or me watching one more putt on the golf tournament and making us late. So you express your preferences at a certain point, and then there's a chance of them being absorbed and accepted and having the relationship grow. But as soon as we get defensive, so as soon as the male senses defensiveness coming up, the assignment is to say, I hear you, and then proceed to walk away, not to be chased by the female that wants to continue to nag and nitpick while the male's not in a supportive place.
Right. Those two situations right there, usually no one's listening to the other person. The man watching Monday Night Football or the golf, that last putt on the 18th hole, they're so in tune to what that moment is. Here's the woman nagging at them. They don't hear it. They're not listening. And then here's the woman getting more and more upset, right? Because they're not being acknowledged.
Okay. So unwinding this stuff, I feel like we might have mentioned this in the first show, but if we have that baseline level of friendship, especially, and respect, regardless of what our scoreboard is on our relationship, and when I hear people say 50-50, I remember this got refuted aggressively in a seminar I went to. The guy goes, 50-50 is a bunch of bullshit. You give 100% to the relationship. The other person gives 100%. And whatever the scoreboard is, if someone's bedridden with an illness or whatever's going on, it's not 50-50 anymore. And you got a problem with that, then you're not in. You're not all in with 100%. And you're gonna struggle and suffer if you ever go to that scoreboard. And I was like, wow, that's pretty heavy, because usually we're socialized to think it's 50-50 in the house. And I do the same amount of housework and the same amount of childcare as my wife. I'm an evolved husband.
Well, I don't even know if it's really 100% by both parties all the time. There are going to be times when one individual is giving 125% because the other individual is just giving 75% for whatever reason, when you're not feeling well or you're too stressed and have too much going on at the office. There's always going to be, I think, one person doing more than the other, and that's okay as long as it's not always the same person doing more, right? So.
Well, we had some other hot items to talk about. One of them was this cheerleader concept. Brought it up briefly in the first show, but this was a insight presented to me. I think going back to what you said about, do we have to have conflict? Is it a necessary element of a relationship? And the question posed to me was, look, do you want a mature, authentic adult relationship where you have give and take and conflict resolution? Or do you just want an effing cheerleader to stand to the side and clap for you? And I was like, we both said.
You said cheerleader, and I said, why not a cheerleader?
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Because I sure don't want to be in a relationship, like I said earlier, that's just conflict driven. I mean, who wants that?
Right. And back to that example of you need to vent to your partner without the partner offering solutions and advice and unsolicited, all that kind of stuff. The cheerleader's like, I support you. I love you how you are. You can do it. I believe in you. Let me know how I can support you. I can support you in any way. But that's a whole lot different than going down that other path. Like, if you just were not so lazy on the weekend, you wouldn't have these complaints and all those kind of things that chip away at the open heart and the relationship.
Right. Our studies show that only 2% of folks succeed in whatever thing you're trying to do, right? Yeah. Instead of saying, go for it, I'm here for you, and cheering you on.
Oh man. So this is getting heavy because I need to ask you, like, why do we do that to the people closest to us? Why do we cut them down a little bit?
I don't know. Does it go back to, even growing up, we tend to be tougher with our siblings, with our parents, or with our kids because we know the love is there and we'll never, you love someone regardless, especially when you're related, right? And then when you're in a loving relationship, you're the same thing. You feel like they're there regardless. They're not going anywhere, right? And I think people have to, and not that you should be running around tippy-toeing around your relationships at any point in time. I think it's good that you feel like the relationship is there and you have a solid foundation, but we also have to remember to be, caring, to, say loving, be loving and caring to our significant others.
How about the kid example comes up for me when I see the classic Little League parent who's, dispensing criticism to their kid, and so many people are carrying this with them their whole entire lives, and they're carrying psychological traumas. Wendy Walsh said we're playing out childhood traumas. That's why we choose the bad boy over and over. And then you go like on Harry Met Sally, the classic scene where the lady's complaining about the man she's having an affair with, that he hasn't left his wife, and then her friends say, he's never going to leave her. She goes, I know, but she just complains over and over. And so we repeat these patterns, or we go and take the punishment dating back to, unhealed childhood traumas.
That's true.
So how do we get to that default cheerleader mode and avoid the pattern behavior that turns into conflict? Like, only 2% of writers actually make money selling a book. So why are you wasting your time on that?
Or 2% of podcasters have success, right?
There's 450,000 podcasts on iTunes now,
really?
Something like that.
Wow.
And, a few years ago, there was 80,000. And a few years before that, there was 82 or whatever. But there was some stat that was encouraging to podcasters out there that like some huge percent, like 70% are dormant. In other words, there's this many podcasts. And this one had 8 episodes published in 2015, and they're just sitting there. So it's like, hey, welcome to our first relationship podcast. It's Brad and Mia. How you guys doing out there? And then you do 4 shows, and then you go on with your life. So it's not as crowded as we think.
That's good news.
That's why we're cranking out no matter what. Even on vacation, we're sitting in front of the mic.
That's right. Here we are in beautiful. The sun's out, Scottsdale, Arizona. Although I thought it was going to be warmer, but
come back in the summer, as the lady said in the parking lot. You don't want to be here in July and August. Otherwise, it's beautiful. I love it. I'm from Connecticut.
Right.
So the question comes: how do we extricate if we're, if some of these things are hitting home, like we're keeping score instead of just going 100% all in? I was thinking of the word resentment coming up, and that's why we repeat these patterns, and that's why the person says, only 2% of novelists make money, so who do you think you are? Those kind of things are coming from a place of pain.
Right. Resentment, but what caused all that? I mean, you can't analyze every single relationship out there, but there's always basically some kind of disappointment in that one person. They're disappointed about something. Either the man they're married isn't the man they thought they were marrying, or vice versa, or the woman they married, isn't who they thought that person was going to be. And that's someone we're projecting onto someone else. What we shouldn't be projecting our own little beliefs onto other people. That the wife or the husband that's being projected right onto, they have no idea. They're innocent little bystanders, really, if you think about it.
Sometimes it might be more clear than other times, like your father was mean to you and criticized you, and now you're taking it out on me. Like sometimes that comes up, and it's probably an accurate insight. But again,
some folks,
it's not the ideal way to dispense the message. So the message is not heard, and the person's defensive and says, "You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about." I'm over that now. I'm not projecting that into my treatment of you at all. And then we're not having a productive conversation anymore.
Well, that's where I think therapy helps out. And I mentioned that in the other show. I really believe in, the power of speaking to someone, a professional, or maybe it's not a professional. Maybe it's just a friend of the couple that can hear and bring a different perspective. I think that's very valuable.
So then you have a fresh perspective. You have some inspiration to make things better.
Right, because it has to come from someone else, not your partner, right? You're already not agreeing with your partner. So regardless of what wise anecdotes your partner is telling you or reading to you from the internet or what have you, that's not going to work. It has to be someone else.
Okay, so let's say the person returns from their 3-day business trip with plenty of time for soul searching and comes back and says, I want things to be better between us. Let's have a conversation about it. You said communication is key in the first show.
Right.
So how do we go about...
People disagree with me on that, but I think it's important.
Who disagrees with you?
Just people in general. Yeah, I thought you said one of the folks, I think, was it Dr. Wendy Walsh, who doesn't agree about that?
Oh, she said that conflict is a necessary and healthy component of a relationship that helps the couple grow. And we can argue semantics here, but I do think that you have a point there. Like there's some personal preferences involved, and what we define as conflict is raising voice, yelling, using critical, attacking commentary, I feel like has no place in a relationship. And you agree,
right, I agree
also.
with that. And
maybe the next people down the line, the feisty couple that likes to make up sex, and then come here, baby, I love you. I know you can do your novel. I believe in you now, even though I ripped on you yesterday. That kind of crap is maybe some people are okay with it. I don't know, and maybe it serves I've seen high conflict couples in action, and you could see there was some magic in there where they weren't taking that stuff personally. They were able to weather and absorb it. They maybe knew it was coming from a supportive place, but nevertheless, I don't like it. I don't want it in my life. So that's my preference.
Right.
So, for example, what works for you? Like, what works well when a partner is coming to you with a relationship discussion?
That's difficult because I think I can get defensive as well. I mean, if you were going to approach me and say, I need to talk to you about something, well, right away, I'm going to clam up because right away I know something's coming, right? Maybe we have
That is so funny.
No, it's true because that's what people say.
It's exactly.
They'll say, I need, I have something to, talk
like
to you about.
When the bosses would come to me in my various career tribulations, it would always be like, hey, got a sec?
Right.
Like, sure, I have a sec for you, boss. And I'd be like, oh, crap,
Oh, that sounds like the spouse, right? The husband comes home or the wife's been cleaning after the husband and says, do you have a minute? And then brings you into the kitchen, right, to show how you loaded the dishwasher wrong or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, so what works for me? Why I think this works, you tell me. Like, that's, I think, one of our little pet peeves is that, and it's just not ours. I've been talking to, my girlfriends and colleagues, and they all will agree their pet peeve is loading of the dishwasher, and how, I don't know why it's mainly the woman who have a certain way of loading the dishwasher that's consistent with every load of dishes that they have
vastly superior spatial talents to the male.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, now thank you for saying that.
Interior design, walk into an empty room, what furniture you have, your brain is locking in, and I'm like, is this big enough to fit our couch? It's just there.
And the guy would just throw dishes in. And, we should be thankful that he threw dishes in the dishwasher.
Guy. Oh, thanks for mentioning that.
Right. Yeah. So what I do is I think once maybe I mentioned it to you, but that's it. After that, I would just rearrange the dishes because, I'll open the dishwasher and to put in an extra load. And then I'll see that I'm happy that you helped me by loading the dishes previously. But there's no more room for the rest of the dishes because they were loaded haphazardly. So I just rearrange them in the nice, neat, orderly manner that I need them to be in so I can throw in more dishes in, and I close it. Then hopefully you'll be the one unloading the dishes the next day, and you'll see such a nice...
The frontal lobe will engage and go, geez, I can put all the cereal bowls away at the same time because they're all in the same row. That's amazing how that happened. I wonder if it's like a random...
on top, on the bottom, on the side, yeah.
You know what? This little exchange, to me, I think you said some really profound things, and I appreciate it because, first of all, you acknowledge that you appreciate me just loading stuff in the dishwasher. Right. And then the other thing I thought about with this exact example, was that insight of pure genius that you taught me, where you put the soap thing into the dispenser immediately after the dishes are clean. So you load a new soap as soon as the dishes are clean and we empty them. So an empty dishwasher always has fully loaded soap. My mom, similarly efficient, has the sign on the counter that says clean on one side and dirty on one side. And I always forget to twist it around to the right side. But your thing, like, I have so much trust that you know what you're doing and you mean business. And there's a reason, instead of just, what do you call it? Like random, unbridled energy that's frenetic and you're OCD about things. It's like, no. She likes the dishwasher loaded this way. She puts the soap in this way, and it makes so much sense. And so, I feel like I can take your feedback so well baseline because we have great friendship and trust and respect for each other. And I know you appreciate me. And I know I'm slobbing out at times on the dishwasher. So that's the only chance that you're going to get me to evolve as a person, is to come from that place that you're describing.
Right.
But me being myself, but also I'm speaking for millions of men out there who are bullheaded and think, she should just be appreciative that I threw a dish in there anyway, or whatever nonsense, defensiveness.
And we are appreciative. We want them rinsed first and then put away, and we want them put away in a certain order. So like you said, I'm glad you noticed that, so that they're easier to unload, right?
And this is like metaphoric for everything, man. It's for borrowing the car and parking it at an angle on the driveway. Remember the Wendy Walsh anecdote where she said, the man parks the car crooked 4 times in a row. And so the woman comes home, can't get her car in the garage. And her comment was, maybe, and I'm not going to position her like you don't have to agree or disagree. It was just an interesting insight. Like maybe the woman should be appreciative that she has a freaking garage to park in. And I'm like, wow, and maybe the man should park his car straight after being asked 4 times. But if both of them have, like, the man has a desire, hopefully, to not block his wife out. And so the wife comes in and says, hi, honey, how you doing? Hold on, before I talk, let me grab your keys and straighten your car out so I can go in the garage. And it's dispensed in this loving, peaceful thing. I'm going to bet on the man that he's going to park straighter. And I'm going to bet on the woman that when she goes in with that tone of voice and that sort of appreciation that maybe something was on his mind and he was spacing out again because he's a rocket scientist and he's very linear. And so he wasn't thinking about it. But,
well, here
on the 5th time, is someone going to crack? That's
right. But what's interesting is that did he hear her all 5 times?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious now. Was he busy thinking about the score of the game during the first time she said something, and then the second time his mind was thinking about, something at the office. So he heard her talking, but he wasn't listening, right?
No me escuchas.
So there could be that's what's been happening all along, and that he didn't intentionally park for good. He just not really, listening to her.
Yeah.
Or it's either that or the opposite, that there's some resentment going on in that relationship that he don't care and he's going to keep parking crooked because he's mad about something. And that's where you need to have that communication, I feel like.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to say, like, you got me good on this sort of topic, and I'll never forget it because it was about the loading the soap in the dishwasher again. And I forgot. I said, that's great. That's pure genius. I love that. And then a week later, I forgot. And it was like, hey, are these dirty or clean? Oh, shoot, I forgot. And you said something like, well, I told you. And so if you tell me something once, I remember it. So I would appreciate if you did the same. And then I thought for a second, I'm like, shit, she's right. I tell you something once and you remember it without fail. And so I think I have a unique partner. That's why I love you. Like you have a high score on relationships. You're the best partner. And it's no joke.
But
if you tell me something once and I'm going 100% in and I'm walking my talk, why would I forget it? That means I don't care. It means I don't care enough. It means I don't respect, the importance of an orderly dishwasher enough for whatever reason. Maybe there's resentment like you just described. And I'm going to say, like I was saying in my defense, like, oh yeah, I'm really busy and I was multitasking and look how many dishes I did. But you know what? I realize that's not good enough. And when I tell that story to whomever, my boss, my coworkers, like, oh, sorry, the draft is almost done and it's almost on time. Here it is. It's pretty awesome. Check it out. No, that's not good enough.
Mm-hmm. But it's not just me. I think most women are that way. You only tell them something once and they generally remember.
Really?
And I don't know, I shouldn't be stereotyping, men versus women, but I think there is some validity to that. And men in general, you have to tell them more than once.
Let's let that float out there and see what the listeners think. Email us in with your comments. getoveryourselfpodcast@gmail.com. We'll tally it up.
Okay.
All right. So we're making progress now. We've mentioned how if you have that baseline level of respect, and I appreciate your efficiency and the genius of doing the dishwasher the right way. So I'm open to feedback, and I sincerely appreciate it. And then we extend that out into whatever the topic is.
Right.
Why is that so difficult to go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3? Why do we keep getting pushed back?
What I describe, I don't know what you mean by level 2, level 3.
I'm just making that up. Like the relationship is at the highest possible level, or it's kind of like, oh, how's Jerry? He's all right. He still plays too much golf on the weekend, is messy in the kitchen, and I've asked him a few times, and I'm about to give up and just get resentful for the rest of my life.
Okay. So I think the reason it's difficult is because that relationship that can't get to the next level is probably missing love and respect. Because when you have love and respect, that's how you get to the level 2, level 3. But those other relationships may just be, they like each other, it's passing time, but it's not, even with married couples, there could be people that are married, but they didn't marry for the right reasons. And they're just kind of living the life, but not so much they're not all in.
Mm. Yeah, I feel that we have so much distraction and so much stress and so much adverse health practices that maybe we physically don't have the energy to bring that all in, ideal relationship partner, or high value relationship partner, which maybe you did for the first 24 months when the dopamine levels were through the roof. And so you were always at your best and buying flowers every time you saw the partner. And then you settle back down into a really stressful job and a lot of distraction nowadays that we've never had before in the history of the planet, where we can have our minds disengage from the physical room that we're in.
Right, with an iPhone or a Samsung. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still think that a couple that has emotional maturity, regardless of the stresses in life, can still be that loving, respectful with each other, regardless of what's happening at the workplace or with their children. You just have to, make that conscious, decision or effort.
Oh, you said the word conscious. And I'm thinking of Bruce Lipton, Biology Belief, researching this for the book about longevity that Mark Sisson and I are working on. And he's the guy who pioneers this concept that your thoughts can manifest your reality and affect your cells at the cells and genetic functions just by your thoughts. So if you think of yourself as old and worn out, then you're going to manifest that with your cellular function. And alternatively, you can form new beliefs about life, and those will manifest as well. And he says that 95 to 95% of our existence is subconscious, just tapes playing out. A lot of it dating back to ages 0 to 6 when our programming was at a high level. And then we're just operating on autopilot our whole lives. So in this relationship where you walk in the door and you know that your partner's going to start nitpicking, and you know that you're going to head to the TV and tune the partner out, or I'm going to be loading the dishwasher in a mindless manner because I'm thinking or listening to something else now that I can be distracted at all times. So bring it into your consciousness and saying, I'm going to make a conscious effort to drive my car in the garage, close the door, take a deep breath, and bring my best to the partnership.
Right. That's all it takes.
I'm thinking of John Gottman, great relationship expert, talking about the study of healthy couples that maintain romantic spark for decades, and they're reporting that everything's great. And he observes them in routine daily interactions with a ratio of 20-1 positive comments to negative comments.
20-1? Wow.
Yeah. In times of conflict, so when they are getting into something and there's a contentious issue to discuss, it's 5-1. It's still 5-1.
Wow.
Yeah. So talk about if someone's complaining about not being heard, and the advice from John Gray, females, don't dispense things in a critical manner, state everything as a preference, and sandwich that request. I wish I love it when you do the dishes. You do them one day out of every 27. I love when you come in and surprise me in the kitchen and do the dishes. Just the way I love that you paint the house, fix the pipes, mow the lawn. That has a chance to land. Right.
And do we state our preference at the same time? I prefer that you load them this way, though. I don't know if that's where it comes in.
That makes a good example. Like, hey, I love when you're in the kitchen cleaning up. That's so awesome. It's a treat to see you helping. And with the dishwasher, this is what I prefer. I
don't know if I like that. I think maybe just, hey, let's do the dishes together. And then you can see me loading the dishes.
I like that.
Because it's not,
Yeah, you're going to show me your preference.
Right.
Oh, that could work in the bedroom too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That does, actually. Right? I'd say so.
I mean, instead of a complaint? Okay. Here's some from Harville Hendrick. Now that we're trying to get to this conclusion of turning things around maybe and getting back to a higher level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he says that the three essentials for communication in a relationship, number one is safety, knowing that you can speak your truth.
I like that. I believe it.
What would be the opposite?
Being criticized when you speak your truth, or being diminished, right? Made fun of.
Right. Speaking of made fun of, we've talked about this offline before too. Like, you can observe around how these cute little funny jokes are tinged with, there's always, it's not really a joke when you're teasing somebody.
Right. There's always some truth masked in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both, I don't know if we've had an occasion where we had to address it, but we both have observed it or talk about it. It's like,
with other couples.
When they, or just, when people have teased me throughout my life about this, that, or the other thing, there was some charge behind it, and I picked it up and I had that sensitivity to it, and you relate the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, number 2 from Harville Hendrick is a zero negativity policy. Because otherwise the defenses go up. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You can bring up issues, but just say them gently. Use a respectful tone of voice and eye contact instead of a sense of entitlement. Ooh.
No, I agree with that.
What does he mean by sense of entitlement?
Like, you feel like because you're the spouse, you should be able to say whatever you feel like saying. I think that's what they're saying. Or because you're the parent, right? That you should be able to say whatever, criticize the child.
Oof.
Right? I think that's what he's talking about, but I don't know.
Taking things for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real. Number 3, chronic affirmations. Wow, these things all flow together, like the same thing John Gray said in different words, and same with Gottman. So chronic affirmations helps support the number one objective of safety.
Right.
Yeah. Permanent damage can be caused by relationship dynamics that generate fears and insecurities.
Right. So I guess by not doing the things I talked about earlier, that's how you can get into that kind of relationship.
The safety, zero negativity policy, and chronic affirmations.
Right.
So do them. In summary, we've dispensed a lot of insights. It's possible to be a cheerleader.
Right.
Oh, males, do not speak with an emotional charge. Shut the F up, go away, wait till you can come back, and state your preferences in a calm state. Females, don't use a complaining tone of voice. Don't nag or nitpick. State everything as a preference. And then the communication piece is key. So when we're working through these things, wouldn't hurt to have a 20-to-1 positive to negative comments in general life. And then even when something's going down, 5-to-1.
Right.
And then back down to the safety, zero negativity policy, and chronic affirmations.
But the most important is taking it to the bedroom.
Thank you for listening to the Mia Moore Show. Thank you for listening to the show. We would love your feedback at getoveryourselfpodcast@gmail.com. And we would also love if you could leave a rating and a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. I know it's a hassle. You have to go to desktop iTunes, click on the tab that says ratings and reviews, and then click to rate the show anywhere from 5 to 5 stars. And it really helps spread the word so more people can find the show and get over themselves because they need to. Thanks for doing it. Let's talk about ancestral supplements. If you're into ancestral health, primal paleo, keto, you know the importance of consuming these unique agents contained in bone marrow, in the nose to tail organ meats, liver, kidney, all that stuff, the great bone broth benefits. Well, how's it going? For me, since years ago when Dr. Kate Shanahan asserted the importance of these wonderful nutritional benefits that you can't get elsewhere, not too good. I don't know how to cook a liver or a kidney, but now your problems are solved forever when you go to ancestralsupplements.com, a wonderful company filled with people who are living the dream, walking their talk, and bottling up the purest, cleanest sources of grass-fed organ meats, kidney, liver, bone marrow, all in these wonderful capsules. I dump them in my smoothie every day. I'm healthy. I don't have to worry. It's an incredible dietary boost. And this is so different from swallowing a bunch of those synthetic vitamins in those giant bottles from the big box stores. Highly questionable health practice. This stuff is the real deal. Grass-fed organ meats, pure as can be. Ancestralsupplements.com.